Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and a couple different people linked this to me, so I thought I would share it with all of you guys because it coincides with a lot of what I've been telling people about long-term health as far as diets go. But apparently researchers have found the group of people with the healthiest hearts on earth, meaning the least calcification in their hearts and everything, going into old age. So let me put on my +5 out of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. All right, who they discovered is called the Chimene, which are a people in the Bolivian Amazon. And obviously, we know that people aren't going to be able to take on a full hunter-gatherer role. I mean, obviously, there are health benefits to that, but there are health negatives. And researchers and doctors and everyone else know that we can't change the whole world, particularly the United States, of that lifestyle. No one's expecting you to, but we can make interesting observations of these people. And we need to understand that even though they might have the healthiest hearts, they are at risk for other health problems, and that's mainly due to inflammation in their bodies from infections because they don't really have access to antibiotics and things like that. A lot of these people suffer different health problems, but when it comes to things like cardiovascular disease, diabetes, cancers, things like that, people like this are the lowest on earth. They're the lowest on earth. And what's interesting is that, people keep talking about carbohydrates themselves as if all carbs are equal, first of all. But carbohydrates being the cause of heart disease and diabetes and everything else, you take people like this, and let's look at the breakdown a little bit of their diets. And there are other factors there. We're going to cover some of that. But their diet is 72% carbohydrates. In the U.S., the average is 52. They get 14% of their diet from fat. All right. A lot of people would say that's excessively low, 14%. That's way too low. And they get a lot less saturated fat than we do in America. And both Americans and these people eat the same amount of protein. Around 14% of our diets come from protein, which is considered, not really that high of a protein diet. I mean, it's high, but not really. Because we would say 14% fat is a low-fat diet. So we'd call this actually a moderately low protein diet, but so is the American diet. And that's something a lot of people don't understand. They talk about how America has all these problems from protein, too much protein. We don't eat that much protein. Because when people are sitting around eating junk food, even though it's meats, they're getting a lot of those calories from fat, refined carbs, everything else. Now, interestingly enough, 17% of their diet is game, and it's from wild pig, tapir, and the capybara, which is a big rat, almost like a nutria. 7% freshwater fish, and the rest of it is coming from rice, maize, mayonic root, which is similar to a sweet potato, and plantains, which are similar to a banana. So basically, they're getting most of their calories from grains, whole grains, tubers, a sweet potato-like tuber, and from fruit. All right, and they fill in the rest with nuts and fruit that they forage, like nuts and berries they forage out in the woods. They're getting a decent amount, though, from wild game. Over 20% of their calories every day, their food intake is from wild game and fish. And the vast majority of the rest is coming from whole grains, which is basically rice and corn, because maize is corn. So rice and corn, potatoes, and bananas, basically. This is where they're getting most of their calories. These people have the healthiest hearts in the world. They're also extremely physically active, and that's something that can't be discounted either. They're extremely physically active. They walk a lot more than most other cultures. And again, because they're hunter-gatherers. But accordingly, heart disease in these people is almost unheard of. These people don't really even start having heart attacks till they're up into their 90s. All right? Start looking at when we start having our heart attacks. A lot of Americans, it's not uncommon in your 40s and 50s to start seeing your first heart attacks. So this is pretty interesting when you look at the breakdown of their diet. And this is something I've talked about a lot in the past. You look at someone like the people in Okinawa, which is not necessarily a hunter-gatherer society. It's agricultural. And you know what? This hunter-gatherer here is agricultural too, because when you're getting most of your food from farm food, they're family farms that grow rice, maize, and these roots and fruits. All right, this is agriculture. This is not actually true hunter-gatherer. They're getting all their animals from hunting and gathering. They are hunting and gathering, but these people are still farmers. All right, they're growing carbohydrates, mostly unrefined carbohydrates. Same thing with the people in Okinawa. Look at their diets. extremely low fat, high carbohydrate, whole foods. People want to make comparisons to other ones. People will mention the Mediterranean diet, which is reasonably healthy, but the Mediterranean diet tends to be a little higher in fat than these other diets. So people don't live quite as long. From what we can look at, and I mean, this is something you've got to look at the epidemiology on. When you look around the world, what groups of people have the highest rates of disease and the lowest lifespan? People who eat the most fat. Cultures that eat the most fat and cultures that eat the most refined sugar. All right, all these cultures are carbohydrate-based diets, active lifestyles and carbohydrate-based diets. But people have to understand you've got to quit lumping all carbohydrates in the same category with refined sugars and fructose. All right, when we talk about the negatives of carbohydrates, them leading to heart disease, negative lipid profiles, all of this stuff, inflammation that people are talking about that's related to heart disease, you're talking about fructose intake every single time. All right, it's never grains, it's never starches, it's not potatoes and rice here, guys. It's not even barley and wheat. This whole idea of the inflammation caused by these foods is absolute bullshit. The inflammation that people are getting is coming from table sugar and excessive fat intake. All right, particularly saturated fat and then damaged omega-6 fats because you've cooked a bunch of vegetable oils. That's where you get all this inflammation everyone's talking about. But you only have to look at these societies like this and look at heart disease, and it's pretty clear that eating diets that are primarily composed of minimally refined carbohydrates, well, and even white rice falls into that category because a lot of these long-lived cultures eat white rice. But basically, mostly whole grains, tubers, vegetables, a bit of fruit. This is where people who have the healthiest hearts and live the longest get their calories, and they're all physically active. They're all physically active. Every single one of these cultures that are long lived like this and don't have heart disease and everything else. And the take home here is that keeping dietary fat moderated, keeping fructose intake moderated, and being physically active are the keys to long-term health. And we can look at all these different societies around the world and see this. And I hate it when the keto people will mention the Inuits. The Inuits didn't have long lifespans. They're tubby. All right, they have more body fat than average. They have more body fat than most other cultures, the Inuits did, and they have shorter lifespans. That's not a glowing endorsement for ketogenic diets or for high-fat diets where diets are full of animal fat. That is not a glowing endorsement, and I don't know why this always gets brought up. Furthermore, they have different biology and everything else. There is some differences going on with them in terms of the way they've adapted to their diets. But, you take a culture like that and it fits the exact paradigm we're talking about. The highest fat diets on Earth have shorter lifespans. Lower fat diets have longer lifespans. The Inuits actually fit into that pattern perfectly. So, and they were a hunter-gatherer society. So the point that we've got to look at is that being hunter-gatherers has its benefits, but it's no guarantee of a healthy diet. You still need a diet that's relatively low in fat and high in carbohydrates to get the longest lifespan. And we see this everywhere on Earth. And the people who eat the most fat, they just have shorter lifespans. They have more heart disease. And it's not because they've taken carbohydrates out or because of the carbohydrates they're eating. Now, and again, it needs to be pointed out, refined sugars, sure, absolutely a correlation between them and heart disease and diabetes and everything else. But there is also that with fat intake. And when people try to sit back and blame one or the other, I'll see vegans right now blaming animal fats for all heart disease and everything else while they consume refined sugars. There are ones of them doing it now on YouTube. They're part of the problem because it's those two foods that are the problem, and we know that. They've been linked repeatedly with heart disease, diabetes, everything else. And when you try to blame the other one without admitting that the one that you're consuming is the problem also, it's hypocritical. And keto dieters need to understand that, just like some of these vegans, high-carb vegans need to understand that. You're both fucking wrong. You're both giving dangerous, bad information. Yes, excessive amounts of animal fat is bad. All right, vegans are right on that one. Keto dieters are wrong on that one. But excessive amounts of refined sugar and fructose is also bad. So these high-carb vegans are wrong on that one. and the keto people are right. They're both right and they're both wrong, because neither one of them are addressing that there's two different foods that are heavily linked to these problems, and they're denying that the other one is part of the problem when it's actually both. And the worst thing you can do is, of course, to combine the two. Like we've said repeatedly, you want a one-way ticket to a heart attack, be sedentary, and combine a lot of saturated fat with a lot of refined sugars in your diet. You do those things together, you're almost guaranteeing that you're going to have a heart attack. And it's that simple. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.